Hi guys, Mr. McCorkle and Dr. Purvis here again. We're just having a good conversation. One of the great things about being in the MUW Department of Health Kinesiology is we get some outstanding students. Students who have breezed through high school, students who have breezed through community college. They're ready for the big leagues, and that's kind of a downside because these outstanding students have never had to develop the study skills that maybe some of us who struggled a little bit more had to do. So we want to talk to you for just a few minutes today about study skills and how to spend your time and what you should be doing for classes.
So, Mr. McCorkle, how much time should I spend on each of my classes? I'm taking 4 classes. I'm taking 12 hours. How much time should I be spending a week?
Well, we've got a few different ways. There's a lot of different theories and ideas that people put forth, but a minimum of 1 to 2 hours per class. So, and some people say up to 3 hours per class. So if you're taking 12 hours, you need to be spending a minimum of 24 hours a week prepping for class, studying for class, attending class, and I said maybe up to 36. Some professors go as far as saying 2 to 3 hours per credit hour of class.
So now that I know how much time I should be spending, how should I be spending my time studying?
Well, really that depends on the type of class you're taking in the particular class. So I'd say we need to split this one. I'll address some in-class issues and let you take the online for this one. But in class, I'd say you need to divide your time. I think we'd agree on that.
I agree.
When you're actually attending a class in person, you need to split your time really into 3 sections: before class, in class, and after class. Before class, you need to be reading, going over notes, any materials that were put forth from the professor through Canvas or through YouTube or through anything else. Make sure you've reviewed all that before you go to class. Then you spend a little bit of time in class, 50 minutes or an hour and 15 minutes, whatever it is, you're taking your notes. And then you need to review your notes after class. Organize. I consider it kind of like reconciling your checkbook. You need to reconcile your textbook, your reading, and your preparation with the notes you took in class, and then kind of clarify the information, bring it together. So what's your approach for online classes?
First, Mr. McCorkle, they don't know what a checkbook is.
Oh yeah, y'all do it all. I'm showing my age here,
but we get the idea there, So for online classes, really you want to spend your time first reading your assigned materials, whatever they are, your textbook, additional readings, journal articles, anything that's posted. Any readings, you need to go ahead and knock those out. Okay, read those. Then if there are videos or lectures, you need to watch those. If there aren't lectures to watch or videos to watch that week, what you want to do is have your PowerPoints. Most of us in the department actually give you PowerPoints. If there's a lecture recorded over it, sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. But you want to use your PowerPoints while you're reading your textbook. So you want to read it and use your PowerPoints and take notes and go back to it. And then
wait, so I have to take notes even though it's an online class without a real lecture?
You really need to. It's going to help you a lot if you actually spend time taking notes. Print your PowerPoints out or open them. If you notice, you can open your PowerPoints and you can take notes at the bottom of them. And that would really help you. So you need to spend that time. You need to look at your assignments. Read what the assignment is, and then you may need to go back and read through your textbook some more.
I'm noticing a theme here. We keep coming back to reading the textbook. I get this question a lot. Isn't it just reading? It's just another book, right? Probably not.
No, your textbook's a little bit of a different book than any other book you're going to read. It's not like a novel off the shelf.
This is something that you want to actually devote a lot of attention to. It's not a beach read where you can kind of skim through and get the gist of the story and keep on going. There's a lot of details, and students take different approaches to this to try to cut corners. They'll skip the preface, they'll skip the introduction, they'll skip those materials. Don't do that. That's there for a reason. It kind of sets up and explains what's going on.
We also, some of us specifically, have tendencies to pull questions from those.
Yeah, well, you might want to read those. And a lot of others, they'll look at the PowerPoints and say, oh, it's just the figures and tables, and they'll skip the actual text part of the textbook. Or they'll read just the text and kind of say, well, they explain the figures in the text and skip it. You have to really read all of it and pay close attention. Also, those materials at the end of the chapter, the review questions, the suggested readings, things like that, those are important. If you can't, at least, and it may take several times reviewing the material in different ways to understand it. That's why we have textbook and lecture and review. But if you can't answer those questions generally at the end of the chapter, you probably need to go back and reread. A great study tool I've heard recommended before is to actually go back and read the review questions first, and as you go through the chapter, answer those questions, writing them out, kind of like taking notes on your PowerPoint.
So, Mr. McCorkle, I'm taking an in-person class. How should I really schedule my time?
Well, again, you should divide it. If you've read the material and been familiar with it, then when you're in class, say that 30 minutes or an hour before readings, that's usually about all it takes for each class, about 30 minutes. Or if you read the whole chapter, you may have several class periods on it, an hour of reading to cover most chapters. You can actually devote your time to paying attention in class. That's kind of an odd concept. You should not be scribbling down everything we say. You should be taking notes. Print out those materials, or if you're familiar with the materials, some of us allow you to take notes on your laptop or a tablet, where you can actually just jot in clarification and extra information that helps you understand what's on the slides. If you're just scribbling down everything we say, you might be copying down what's on the slides or copying down the same thing you've read, and it doesn't add anything of value because you're not actually trying to ingest and understand the material. And then afterwards, like I said, you've got to come back, you've got to organize those notes and maybe come up with some extra questions.
So for your online classes, those of you that take your online classes, it's important to remember that while you don't have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class or a Tuesday, Thursday class, you should really still schedule your classes like that. You should devote certain times every week to each individual class. That way you don't get behind, you don't let one class take most of the time, because we all know you have your favorite class every semester. And then you also have the class that you really want to avoid. So you really need to schedule out your time. I recommend students print a calendar and they say Mondays is this class, Tuesdays is this class, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Or split it up. Say for 2 hours on Mondays I'm going to work on these 2 classes. 2 hours here, 2 hours there. Kind of split it up. Make sure it's adding up to that 12 to 24 hours. While it's on your own, you still need to be making sure you make a schedule for yourself to keep yourself accountable.
If I have an online assignment that's due at midnight on Friday or on Sunday, can't I just take that afternoon and finish that assignment?
I don't recommend it. There's a lot of reasons I don't recommend it. One, a lot of you have had me and you know this, computer problems happen. It's amazing how many computers happen to crash 30 minutes before an assignment's due. So when you wait, first off, you're putting yourself at risk for that. And I'm pretty sure the policy department-wide is no late work. Also, you're not giving yourself time to digest that information like Mr. McCorkle mentioned. He talked about, you read the material, you go to class, you digest it, then you can do your assignments, take your quiz, do anything like that. So you're not giving yourself time when you cram. We know cramming does not work. So by just reading the text and doing the assignment, you're really not giving yourself any time to understand and comprehend and maybe realize that you don't understand something.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the notes we took and the things we talked about a few minutes ago before we started the video. We talked about the types of classes that we take. Mm-hmm. You can't always study the same for every class. And this is one of the things that I know my students are struggling with right now. Some classes are kind of the easy, the classic rote memorization. Mm-hmm. And that's where you're just memorizing facts. And you can make your flashcards, you can use those simple techniques. But a lot of the classes we're getting into now are critical thinking. Most of your KIN and HED classes, your upper level courses, your content courses, require a lot of critical thinking, and that's where I think students get tripped up, that it's applying the material. Being able to memorize facts is great, but you have to be able to apply that material in a meaningful way, and that's a skill that's learned. Mm-hmm. So the good news is this is not something that you either have or don't have. It's not innate. This is something that all of us have to learn, and that's a study skill in itself. We might have to do an entirely separate video on that one, applying material, but look at the content of the class and the expectations of the professors and all that. You have to change your study skills for each class or maybe for each chapter or each section of the class so that it's appropriate for the content. And then I think you had some insights on, it's also depending upon the person.
It does. It depends. Mr. McCorkle here may be one that he can just read the material and he's got it. Me, I outlined every chapter. I made flashcards. I made my own study guides. That's how I learned. I actually had to write it all out. I couldn't just sit there and listen or watch a lecture or attend a class. I had to actually be active in my learning. So for some of y'all, you're like me. Some of you may be like Mr. McCorkle. You can just listen.
I'm not like that in every class.
But it all depends. But one thing I also want to come back to real fast is students often in online classes especially say, can I just watch the PowerPoint or just read the lecture slides?
Wait, without the textbook?
Yeah, without the textbook.
Without like the extra links and articles?
Yeah, do I need to even buy the textbook? That's a common question. Hey, I had a student yesterday who told me he hasn't even bought the textbooks for any of my classes.
Required text.
They are required. I can tell you right now, if you're in one of my classes, you will not pass them without a textbook. Yes, some of the questions come from the lecture slides, some of them come from videos, but the textbook is really the foundation for the classes, for all of our classes. Make sure you're reading them. If you do nothing else, read your textbook. Does everyone, where should I study? We talk about kind of who studies how and different things, but what's the environment like that I should really study in?
Well, there's a lot of debate about this, but studies have shown that the best way, especially if you're taking an actual test, and this goes whether you're online or whether you're taking a class in person, you want to study in the type of environment that you're going to be tested in. So if you're going to be tested in a classroom, come to campus. Use an empty classroom. Use the student lounge. Use the library. It puts you in the right mindset. Also, if you're taking an online test, say you're taking an online class, you're doing quizzes and all that, you want to, again, schedule that time. Schedule a time where the kids are in a different room or they're busy or doing things, or after they go to sleep, or time that your family and friends know. Do not disturb.
So I should turn my cell phone off?
Absolutely.
You mean
there's
not be checking Facebook?
Nothing better than turning your Facebook off while studying, or turning your phone off. Let it charge a little bit. Give it a break. It might get tired of you every now and again.
So, Mr. McCorkle, I've read everything. My textbook. I promise. I've read my textbook.
Okay, that's good. Okay. I'm proud of you.
I've watched my lectures. I've gone to class. But I'm really not understanding the material. What do I do now?
Well, I think it's time to talk to your professor. I really think, if you've done all those things, it's time to get some clarification. Some courses are going to offer tutoring and student instructor help, SI courses. We have a lot of those here at MEW. But once you get up into your content courses, into your HED and KIN courses, that's the time to go to a professor. You cannot go to a professor before you've put in the work.
So you mean not before I've read my textbook?
That's the first thing I ask.
Me too.
Did you read the textbook? Or did you buy the textbook?
And often, guys, that's a lot of times the answer is no.
Be honest with us if it is no.
We can tell.
Yeah, we can tell, and we're assuming that you are utilizing all the resources. If you're not, some of the things we're going to tell you to do might be kind of challenging. So,
okay, I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to tell my professor I don't understand, which, guys, is great. We want you to. That's why we're here. That's our job. We enjoy when you come ask us questions. So how do I actually go ask my professor a question?
I mean, the worst thing you can do, and we've all gotten this text or email or phone call, hey, I'm lost, help me. Well, we're kind of lost too when you come with us to that. You need to ask a specific question. And ideally your question, and it may not just be one sentence or one question, it reflects that you've put in your time. Mm-hmm. You want to ask a specific question. Dr. Purvis, I've read the material and I'm having a little bit of trouble with the trans-theoretical model. I don't understand why they say it's not always linear. Why is it not linear? If you come with a specific question like that, it gives us a way to answer. If you give us a vague question,
I don't understand theory.
I don't understand theory. I don't understand how to answer the question. That's a little too broad for me to address.
What are you asking?
But one of the common things as well. So you're asking a specific question. When should I go to my professor with that question? Can I interrupt in class? Can I, just stop by their office or shoot them an email anytime?
You can always shoot an email. Emails are always welcome. Don't expect a response for the assignment that's due at midnight on Friday night if you send the question at 10 o'clock at night. You know, we do check out. We're not answering emails 24/7. We answer them often, and we answer them quickly.
You sleep?
Not much, but I do try to sleep.
Oh, well, that's good habit.
I try. And I try to spend time away from the office.
That's healthy. That's a good habit.
So we're not always here. Don't just drop by. That's a big thing. You know, I tell our students, we have meetings, we have off-campus visits, we have meetings with other students.
Even during office hours, it's best to schedule an
appointment. But you can always schedule one and then ask us. Email us, ask us. If you see us walking on the sidewalk, probably not necessarily the best time to ask us a question, but definitely to say, can I make an appointment?
Absolutely, anytime.
Anytime. As soon as class is over, kind of see the situation. See, if Mr. McCorkle's heading to his office, ask him if he has time. Tell him you have a question. Or he may tell you, make an appointment. Or he'll say, send me an email. Give me a call.
Email is really the best thing, and make sure you give us time. Not the day of the assignment that the assignment's due, not the day before the test. I mean, we encourage that. You should be asking us questions, but as you go along, if you're devoting the time as you go along and not cramming away until the end, if you shoot us that email, we can help prepare a good response for you. Because if you're not understanding my lecture, I may need to take a few minutes to go pull another resource. And if I have the time ahead of time, I have fair warning, I can have that resource ready for you when you come to my office.
So, Mr. McCorkle, I've been studying.
Oh,
I promise. Good. I've been studying, I've been reading, I've been taking notes, but I'm still not passing my class. What do I need to do now?
Now I think is the time that, whether you're online or in person, you need to schedule a meeting, whether it's through Skype, whether it's in person, whatever we need to do. And we need to really help analyze what the root issue is. It could be that you perform poorly in a prerequisite and you're not ready for this class. It could be that you need to change your study skills, change how you're studying, and we can help you find some other things. It may be that there are other things in your life that are interfering. I had a student recently who was having issues with her child, and she had to devote a lot of time to that and fell behind. So we needed to come up with a plan to get her caught up. But I think really it comes down to communication and utilizing the resources that we have between your professors and the Student Success Center, the navigators. We've got a lot of tools here on campus. But I cannot stress enough, you need to be communicating throughout the semester with your professors. This is not wait till I have a problem or wait till after a test. You cannot communicate enough with your professors.
Talk to your professors. Talk to your advisor. Remember, your advisor is your advocate too. They're there. They're trying to make sure you're going to graduate. They're the ones who can also kind of go back and forth between your professors if something big's going on. Go see your advisor. Talk to your navigator. If you're in the College of Education with us in our program, Renee Brandon is your navigator. She's fantastic. She's happy to meet with you. She can help you with some study skills. Sometimes it can help hearing it from someone other than whoever your instructor is.
A different perspective, absolutely.
Someone else can say it maybe just a little bit different. It makes all the difference in the world. So there's plenty of resources, but you've got to reach out. You've got to communicate. Got to read your textbook. Got to watch class. Got to go to class. And the biggest thing I want you guys to remember is don't think you can just read your textbook and take your quiz 5 minutes later. Okay? That's a big, big thing I think a lot of our students struggle with is you've got to give yourself time. Okay? You got to digest the information, spend a little time, think it through, read through some of the review questions at the end, read through your assignment, think through things, go back, read your notes, highlight, whatever it is. Don't just read it 5 minutes and think you're good to go. Anything else you want to say, Mr. McCorkle?
Absolutely, yeah. Make sure that, I like that word, digest that information. Make sure you're digesting it. Make sure you're spending a lot of time on it. Spreading out your time and being consistent with that and being consistent with communicating with your professor. I think that's the key.
You want to learn the material, not memorize it. Y'all have a good day.